आज मैं आपके लिए एक नया वीडियो लेकर आई हूँ जिसका टॉपिक है रेशियो एनालिसिस। रेशियो एनालिसिस बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक है, इसे थॉरली ज़रूर पढ़िएगा। यह आपके 11th-12th, आपके ग्रेजुएशन, आपके पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन में सभी सेमेस्टर्स में ज़रूर काम आएगा। तो शुरू करने से पहले अगर आपने मेरा चैनल अभी तक सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो प्लीज़ सबसे पहले मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करिए एंड बेल आइकन दबाना मत भूलिएगा। मैं जैसे ही कोई नया वीडियो अपलोड करूँगी आपको नोटिफिकेशन मिल जाएगा। और प्लीज़ मेरा वीडियो एंड तक देखिएगा, मैं आपको कुछ ट्रिक्स एंड टिप्स बताऊँगी जिससे आप बहुत ईज़िली लर्न कर सकते हैं। अगर आपको अच्छा लगे तो प्लीज़ इसे लाइक एंड कमेंट ज़रूर करिए। तो चलिए अब हम शुरू करते हैं वीडियो के साथ। Ratio analysis. Ratio analysis is a tool of financial analysis. A ratio is formed with two related figures derived from financial statement. A ratio gives a simplified understanding about the current financial business. Let us take an example. The sales of company X Limited is 1 lakh for a given year and the total direct and expenses of this company are 75,000. So the gross profit of the year is rupees 25,000. So the gross profit ratio can be expressed as gross profit ratio is equal to gross profit upon total sales revenue is equal to 25,000 divided by 1 lakh is equal to 0.25 or 25%. There are three forms of ratio. Percentage form, example gross profit ratio is 25%. Pure ratio form, example debt equity ratio is 2.1%. In the form of number of times, example assets turnover ratio is 3.6 times. Objectives of ratio analysis: to simplify accounting information, analysis of profitability, to assess the operational efficiency, ensure suitable liquidity, to know financial strength and weaknesses, comparison with industry averages. Advantages of ratio analysis. Ratio analysis as a useful tool for financial analysis, useful for forecasting and planning, helpful to identify the problem areas, interfirm and industry standard comparison, justify financing, investment and operating decision, easy to work with and to comprehend, popularity among the stakeholders, variety of ratio for complete business analysis. Limitations of ratio analysis: possibility of window dressing through ratios. Ratios ignore the price level changes due to inflation. Ratios are in quantitative form and ignore the qualitative aspects of the firm. Variety of ratio create confusion among stakeholders. Merely calculation of ratio is not enough, they need interpretation. Subjectivity while calculation and interpretation based on historical data doesn't consider the size of business. Different groups of ratio. Ratio analysis are divided into liquidity ratio, leverage ratio, activity ratio and profitability ratio. Liquidity ratio. They measure the firm's ability to meet current obligations. Leverage ratio. These ratios show the proportion of debt and equity in financing the firm's asset. Activity ratios. They reflect the firm's efficiency in utilizing the assets. Profitability ratio. These ratios measure overall performance and effectiveness of the firm. If you want to learn the advantages for all these four ratios, you do not need to learn for them each one of them separately. You have learned the advantages of ratio analysis. You can bifurcate those advantages into these four ratios. Different types of ratio. Ratio analysis type. Liquidity ratio are divided into current ratio and quick ratio. Profitability ratio are divided into gross profit ratio, operating profit ratio, net profit ratio, and return on capital employed. Solvency ratio are divided into debt equity ratio and interest coverage ratio. Turnover ratio, fixed assets turnover ratio, inventory turnover ratio, and receivable turnover ratio. Earning ratio, profit earning ratio, and earning per share. Basically, there are four types of ratio, but in some books you may even find earning ratio separately. Some examples of ratios. Liquidity ratio. First, current ratio. It shows the liquidity position of business. Liquidity means the ability of the firm to meet its short-term maturing obligations. Thus, if current assets amount to rupees 2 lakh and current liabilities rupees 1 lakh, then current ratio is equal to current assets upon current liabilities. That is 2 lakh upon 1 lakh, that is 2:1. The very important part of ratio analysis is interpretation. You need to learn how to interpret the ratios. This is very important. Please keep in mind, in every questions, even in your boards, interpretation is always asked. So please learn the significance and interpretations for each and every ratio. Significance and interpretation. As a convention, current ratio 2:1 is taken as the standard, which means that for every rupee 1 of current liabilities, current assets of the value of rupees 2 are available for payment. The logic is that if the current assets are reduced to half, that is rupees 1 instead of rupees 2, then also the creditor will be able to get their payments in full. But such a generalization is not always true. The standard ratio will vary from industry to industry and season to season. Some examples of liquidity ratios are continued as the second type of liquidity ratio is quick ratio or asset test ratio, or it is also known as liquid ratio. Current ratio is a crude test of liquidity. For better analysis of liquidity, the current ratio is modified. The modified version is called liquid ratio or quick ratio. If the liquid assets amount to rupees 1 lakh and the liquid liabilities rupees 1 lakh, then liquid ratio is equal to liquid assets upon liquid liabilities, that is 1 lakh upon 1 lakh, that is 1:1. Liquid assets can also be calculated by the following formulas, that are current assets minus inventory plus prepaid expenses. Liquid liability, current liability minus bank overdraft. Liquid ratio, current assets minus inventory plus prepaid expenses upon current liabilities minus bank overdraft. The last formula is very easy. There is nothing big in that. You have combined the second and third formula and made the last formula. Basically, in exams, moreover, the first formula is always asked. So don't bother about the second and third formula, but it's just that you should know about it. As I told you previously, significance and interpretation are very important. Please go through all the significance and interpretation of all the ratios thoroughly. This ratio is an important indicator of financial health of a firm. As per convention, normal quick ratio should be 1:1. If the ratio is less than this, it means that arrangement from outside sources of fund will have to be made for meeting some proportion of the immediately maturing liabilities. Next, third is absolute liquidity ratio. Absolute liquidity is represented by cash and near cash items. Hence, in computation of this ratio, only absolute liquid assets are compared with the liquid liabilities. The absolute liquid assets are cash in hand, cash at bank, and marketable securities. It is calculated as follows. Absolute liquid ratio is equal to cash plus bank plus marketable securities upon liquid liabilities. Significance and interpretation. This ratio measures the instant capacity of the firm to meet its quick liabilities. Debtors are excluded from the list of liquid assets in order to obtain absolute liquid assets, since there are some doubts relating to the liquidity. However, this ratio is not widely used in practice. Efficiency or turnover ratios. Working capital turnover ratio. This ratio indicates that whether or not working capital, that is excess of current assets over current liabilities, has been effectively used in making sales. It is calculated as working capital turnover ratio is equal to net sales upon net working capital. Significance and interpretation. This ratio makes it clear whether the business is being carried on with small or large amount of working capital in relation to sales. A low working capital turnover ratio may reflect an inadequacy of net working capital as a result of low turnovers of inventory or receivables and vice versa. The second type of ratio under efficiency or turnover ratios is debtor turnover ratio. This ratio indicates the efficiency of the credit and collection policies of the firm. It is computed as debtor turnover ratio is equal to credit sales upon average receivables. When the number of days in a year, that is 365 days, are divided by the debtors turnover ratio, we get the average collection period. That is the period during which fund remains blocked in the hands of customer. Average collection period is equal to 365 days upon debtor turnover ratio, or 365 days into average receivables upon credit sales. Significance and interpretation. The turnover of debtor gives an indication of the efficiency with which the debtors or receivables are being managed. The higher the ratio, or in other words, shorter the average collection period, better will be the quality of debtors. It implies prompt payment by debtors. Average collection period offers an indication of the degree to which the credit policy of the firm is being enforced. A shorter average collection period indicates better liquidity position as the firm which realizes debts in time. Solvency or long-term financial position ratio. Solvency generally refers to the capacity of the firm to meet its long-term obligation. Debt equity ratio. This ratio shows the relationship between the debt capital and equity of shareholder fund in the capital structure of the firm. It is determined to measure the firm's obligation to creditors in relation to funds invested by owners. Generally, it is calculated as debt equity ratio is equal to long-term debt upon owner's fund. Significance and interpretation. Debt equity ratio indicates the respective claim of creditors and owners in the assets of the firm. It shows the extent to which debt financing has been used in the business. A higher debt equity ratio indicates higher proportion of debt content in the capital structure of the firm. Solvency or long-term financial position ratio. The second type of ratio is proprietary ratio. This ratio establishes the relationship between total assets and shareholders' fund. The purpose of the ratio is to indicate the percentage of owner's fund invested in fixed assets. It is calculated by dividing proprietary fund by total assets. Proprietary ratio is equal to owner's fund upon total assets. Proprietary fund is equal to equity share capital plus preference share capital plus reserves and surplus minus fictitious assets. Total assets do not include fictitious assets. Significance and interpretation. This ratio is a test of long-term financial position of the firm. It indicates how much of the total assets have been procured with shareholder fund. Higher the ratio, lower is the dependence on external funds, and hence greater is the solvency of the firm. Third type of ratio is known as interest coverage ratio. This ratio relates to the fixed interest charges to the income earned by the company. It is an important test of solvency for the company. Interest coverage ratio is equal to net profit before interest and taxes upon fixed interest charges. Significance and interpretation. This ratio gives an idea of the number of times that fixed interest charges are covered by earnings. It is an index of the financial strength of an enterprise and indicates the margin of safety of the long-term creditors. If the ratio is 5 times, it will mean that the company is able to pay interest 5 times out of its earning. A high ratio assures the lender regular and periodical interest income. Next type of ratios are profitability ratios. First one is gross profit ratio. This is the ratio of gross profit to net sales and is expressed in percentage. Gross profit ratio is equal to gross profit upon net sales into 100. Significance and interpretation. The ratio throws light on the degree of managerial efficiency in production and sales. It indicates the ability of the firm to widen the gap between the sales and cost of sales. This ratio may be high due to higher selling prices in relation to cost or lower cost in relation to selling prices or increased sales volume of the higher profit margin items. A low gross profit ratio should be carefully investigated. Second type of profitability ratio is net profit ratio. This is the ratio of net profit after tax to net sales. Net profit ratio is very easy and simple to calculate. The formula for this is net profit upon net sales into 100 is equal to net profit ratio. Significance and interpretation. This ratio is used to measure the overall profitability and is useful to owners. This ratio indicates how much of sales is left after meeting all expense. So higher the ratio, more is the return to shareholders. Third type of profitability ratios are operating ratios. This is the ratio of cost of goods sold plus operating expenses to net sales of the firm. This is closely related to the ratio of operating profit to net sales. Operating ratio is equal to operating cost upon net sales into 100. Significance and interpretation. This ratio indicates the operational efficiency with which the business is being carried on. It reveals the percentage of net sales that is absorbed by cost of goods sold and operating expenses. Hence, the lower the operating cost, the higher will be operating profit. On the other hand, a higher operating ratio leaves a lesser margin for meeting non-operating expense, creation of reserves and payment of interest and dividend. Return on investment profitability ratio. The main objective of making investment in any business is to earn adequate return on capital invested. Hence, the return on capital employed is used as a measure of success of a business in achieving this objective. Otherwise known as return on investment, this is the barometer of overall performance of the firm. It is calculated as return on investment is equal to net profit after tax PA upon total assets or total capital employed. Significance and interpretation. Return on investment is considered to be the best measure of profitability in order to assess the overall performance of the business. A comparison of the ratio with similar firms with the industry average and over time would provide sufficient insight into how efficiently the long-term funds of owners and creditors are being used. The higher the ratio, the more efficient use of capital employed. Concluding remarks. Ratio analysis is a very popular, easy to work with and easy to comprehend technique of financial analysis. The technique of ratio analysis is used by almost all the stakeholders. Ratio analysis provides an extensive analytic view of the entire financial activities of business. Fourth, the broad areas or groups of ratio analysis are liquidity ratio, solvency ratio, activity or efficiency ratio, and profitability ratio. Fifth, there is multiplicity of ratios providing different versions depending upon the requirement of the analyst. Sixth, with the help of ratios, a simplified view of various angles of financial positions of business plan can be prepared for study. Seventh, ratio analysis may be victim of some shortcomings such as inflation, window dressing, personal interviews, personal biasness of analyst, historical data, and absence of qualitative consideration. all the ratios are interrelated and finally impact the profitability of business in form of ROI. Analyst or the manager has to focus more on these ratios which are most needed under the prevailing situation. Mere calculation of ratio is not enough. Proper analysis and interpretation of ratio is required in order to have the optimum average advantage of the ratio analysis. So the tips for this chapter are before and in between I also gave you a tip that you do not need to learn the advantages and disadvantages separately for all the ratios. Just learn the advantages and disadvantages for ratio analysis. That is enough. You can use those advantages and disadvantages to write in all these ratios. Second, significance and interpretation are very important. You need to learn them thoroughly because in the question just the calculation is not asked. The interpretation is very important. It is required and it is mandatory also, and it also carries marks. It carries weightage. Third thing I would like to say that please beforehand of examination make a proper sheet in which you have written all the formulas for all the ratios. Make a table, make a chart and write all the formulas. It will be very easy. Just look at them each and every day. You do not need to learn. Or what you can do, practice the questions and write the formula each time you do any question. You will be able to learn that formula very easily. So these are some tips and techniques which I use for my exam. Hope so it will be very useful and helpful to you. Please use it. Thanks for watching my video till the end. Please like my channel, subscribe my channel and press the bell icon for further notification. Please guys subscribe my channel, and if you have any queries, any comments, please comment me in the comment section. If you want any topic, I'll definitely make a PPT for that topic and upload it for you separately. Please let me know. Thank you so much.